A full driving review of the all-new generation of the Mercedes CLS. That's today on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars. Today with Thomas. So in general, we'll tell you everything you need to know about the new CLS in exterior, interior and the driving. And today also with a focus on the AMG version, the CLS 53 AMG. And you see we are here in the rain, although we are in basically sunny Spain, but won't working for today, but you can honor us by watching in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Well, we hate shooting in the rain, but the cars look so beautiful. Look at the raindrops on the paint. I always love to watch that myself. Later, of course, when it's really warm inside. Good for you, bad for us. Let's continue with the front. Because, first of all, the front grille, it opens to the lower side. That's like with the Mercedes-AMG GT. So, basically a sportier approach. Then you have this one horizontal fin, basically. For example, also with the AMG-Line, it looks like this. Then you have the diamond pins as well. That looks pretty nice. That would be my favorite. And here with the true AMG, the CLS 53 AMG, this one here has two horizontal fins. So they try to differentiate it a little bit with it, also with a stronger lower front. Then the headlights come with LED from standard equipment. You see the turning indicators are also, you've maybe already seen it in some exterior shots, they're at the same place as the LED daytime running lights. And optional, you can get those multi-beam LED also with the high beam from LED for the best. I think it was about 650 meters of light that you can optionally get. 4.98 meters or 16'3" is the total length of this vehicle. And well, you see in the side profile, especially around the door area, there are no hard design lines. This is a new trend, basically a retro trend, to go back with a more simplistic round way. Then rims starts with 18-inch. The AMG or AMG-Line come with 19-inch, as it is here at the moment. The tires look a little bit bigger because they are winter tires. Optional, there would be 20-inch available. And classic for the CLS, it has this falling roof line with this coupe shape. Some would say there are no coupes with four doors. Well, I think you can argue about that, how close you want to draw this definition. Well, what do you think? Is it a four-door coupe, yes or no? Tell me in the comments. But here you can see what's actually differentiation. There's a four-door E-Class sedan and an estate. There's a two-door E-Class coupe, but there's no four-door E-Class coupe, and that's what the CLS basically is. So the rear, it has basically a very round shape. The taillights are now more horizontally drawn. Here the CLS 53 has this additional small wing lip, but I think it's not really fitting to the design of the vehicle. This vehicle looks better when it looks like a raindrop from the rear as a whole. The rear view camera is behind the Mercedes logo. It flips out, therefore it also keeps clean. Pretty intelligent. And the lower part, even in this AMG version, fake exhaust tips all the way. The real ones are hidden beneath that. So this is also a main difference to the Audi A7. Here you flip the logo and then you have a separate trunk. The A7 has this concept with a huge hatch to open. And you can see you are limited in height. Just in length, you can put some cabin trollers here or backpacks. We have put some luggage inside. You can see how much it can actually take. And then you have to release the seats from here. That's also not that handy solution. Go around to the rear and then fold down the seats here with this 2/3, 1/3 split. Getting towards the interior, you can see here this double insulation glass. You can very see that here. And of course, well, it's freestanding, so you can also move it down. Well, if the ignition would be working now, trust me, it goes down. I can show you that soon. Then at the inside of the doors, you can see how you can control the seats. Always a nice visual aspect too. Then the Burmester sound system, optional, one of the best in the industries, I think. It's about 6,000 euros extra. Ooh, that's of course a lot of money. And the ambient light, you can see one part of that below that already. Then moving towards the interior. Central purity is the design scheme, and I can explain that very soon, a little bit more. We start first with the seats. In all CLS variants, they come standard with a fabric leatherette mix, fabric inside, leatherette outside. That's really nice. And the AMG line, it is then Dynamica microfiber inside and leatherette outside. And in this test vehicle, it's the optional full animal skin, which is a lot firmer to sit on. So also just for practical reasons, the base are better, and of course you can save some money. Then also this AMG steering wheel with a flat bottom. You can somehow compare it a little bit with the AMG-Line, just that the CLS 53 has more engine power too. And you can already see carbon fiber decor elements at the left side. Soon I'll tell you more about the decor elements. News coming up there. And there's those turbine air vents, turbine style, also illuminated, one of the design highlights of this vehicle. And now let's get inside. You sit relatively low and flat, and well, you can basically compare it indeed also with the E-Class. You can electronically adjust the steering wheel here. That's a good comfort feature. By the way, the A7 does not have that. That's really funny, right? Headroom wise is, well, I have the seat a little bit pumped up higher, that I have a better seating angle, but also with this small glass roof here, I'm 1.86 m or 6'1", and I'm almost touching the ceiling with my head. So there's not a lot of room in this vehicle because of the very flat design. The seating is also, well, it's not uncomfortable, no, but I think that, for example, a base E-Class is a little bit more comfortable. I feel a little bit more cramped in here in this vehicle. And there, if I also compare it, for example, to the all-new A7, because you asked me to do so, I feel they are more on spot with the seating comfort indeed. And that's quite rare, because Mercedes was really on top of the game there, usually most of the time. But, well, at the moment, Audi seems to be a little bit more innovative with the seating comfort. Might also have something to do with the supplier. Other than that, you have this view on the interior. We will soon show you from a better perspective. And I have some, some secrets to show you there. It'll be nice. So while I present you the interior overview, I make this multicolor animation that it runs through the different colors, and wow, so well done with those, turbine vents. I think they're beautiful, but some others don't like it. But I think it's great that they have the lights here inside and the ambient light below that line. And wow, really a lot to look at. Definitely a cockpit with a wow effect. And with the vents, there's one more special thing I will do while driving through a tunnel. Look out for that during the driving part. Then, the base setup here. It starts with analog gauges left and this 12.3-inch screen on the right. And then the optional setup would be 1,000 euros plus dual screen, 2 times 12.3-inch. And for 2,000 euros more, you then get also the command, which is including, for example, the big GPS. Then you have that one too. Soon more also a little bit more detailed look to the screens. The steering wheel, as I've shown you earlier, has this perforated side here, also in the AMG flat bottom style. Still separate climate buttons. That's also a difference to the all-new Audi A7, where we have the second screen here. I prefer to have it still with a normal button. And now, big news. This one here is the carbon decor for the CLS 53. You can basically, for the CLS, get this one here, carbon, then black, the shiny black one, which everyone hates, or most at least, then aluminum, so more the silver style, and 2 times a wood trim with shiny surface and 2 times a wood trim with a matte surface. The latter one I would go for. And now the big news is it's also available here for the middle console part. You know, a lot of customers have been complaining in the E-Class where you could only choose the black, and just in the AMG, this one here, no matter what is here, you know. But now this and this is corresponding. You can pick it for both elements and have it, for example, all in a wood style. So when you have it all digital in here, it's very interesting. You can have those 2 thumb controls here for the left thumb, for example. You have a home button where you can change, you know, from trip or GPS commands and stuff. And then you can easily set it up while driving. I think it's a quite nice idea. Also able to change the design from sport to classic here or to so-called progressive, different possibilities. And also then the command for the Distronic, the ACC, is now at the steering wheel with the left thumb. Then if we go to the right side, you also have this trackpad which you can press basically to select something, or just scroll, and then in the right screen you can zoom in and out. It's available now for S-Class and E-Class, and it will also be the same for even for the new Mercedes Sprinter and the top GPS trim level for the new A-Class and stuff. And also volume button on the right side, also from good quality. The advantage is that you can control it while driving. There's no touchscreen here, by the way, so nothing happening there. But Mercedes is changing that with the new A-Class, by the way, finally. But here, no touchscreen available. But this solution is actually quite good. And as alternative, you still have the one in the middle console, soon showing you that. And left next to the steering wheel, that's quite interesting. Those are special buttons for the assistance systems. And this one is important for me because when I use the Distronic Plus, the ACC, then sometimes it's a little bit annoying when I have this automatic steering from the car, and so I just deactivate it. It's easily done. It's not so often in many cars that you can deactivate the stuff that easily. And a short closer look then at the main infotainment screen. Now at the moment I'm controlling it with this. You can hear that with the central knob. So I've shown you some of the GPS. I'm not totally satisfied with the GPS software, by the way, as when it shows intersections and stuff. Phone can be connected with Bluetooth or then also with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. That's available right here. And I can soon show you where you should plug in that. So, I mean, the visual part is pretty impressive. Everything else could be a little bit more intuitive, I think. And the rear view camera looks like this. Right side the normal rear view camera. Left side we have this fake drone view from above. And when I steer around here, for example, in this parking lot, you can see that I can then really see how can I park in very well on both sides. So that's well done. Also you can change the camera view around to have a full rear view. Then here also protecting the rims or to the front, and always a nice resolution. This is the full front camera. Wow, you can really very well control this rather long car with that. Here you can open the top glass roof. You can open that one too then, but I won't do it right now. I'm sorry. But now more light for the middle console. And you got this cover here, which makes it everything pretty clean, you know, below those elements. We also have the hotkeys for GPS and stuff. And you have 2 adaptive cup holders. Then there's also the key, pretty elegant, you know, like we know from the E-Class. Also a spot there. And here in the front, that would be the USB slot you connect your phone to when you want to use the smartphone mirroring function. That one in the front. Then you have this control knob. We've shown you that. Also this dynamic mode selector. I will tell you more about the different driving modes when we drive the vehicle. And in the middle console with this opening in left and right. For rest of the smartphone, this is for charging then, not for connecting with the smartphone mirroring function, just for charging. 2 more USB slots, so with the one we have then in the rear, overall then 4 USB slots. I think you can live with that. So let's get in the rear. Well, you do have this beautiful coupe form, this shape also in the rear. Also very well done material quality wise, also with the carbon fiber inlets here. That's really nice. Also with the ambient light. Wow, really great. Take a look inside, and well, the seats fall down to the rear a little bit. That is that still have some headroom, and you can see it's not too easy to get inside. And I just discovered I even had the seat in the lowest position, but then I can hardly put my feet underneath it. Seating wise from the knees, it's still okay with those gaps here, but then headroom wise, it's really catastrophical. So this is probably the car with the most room on the interior wasted. It's a very long vehicle, and I think the relation between length on the exterior and room you have in the interior is probably the worst of all cars I've ever seen. I'm always honest with you. That's why I'm telling you. So you can still sit here as an adult, yes. The seat should be put a little bit higher in the front. It somehow works a little bit with the head when you put it a little bit more back, because then the ceiling raises again. But I wouldn't feeling all right to drive a long trip there. Again, with the animal skin surface, it makes it even firmer to sit on, and you fall backwards. That's bad for your pelvis too, ergonomic wise. Yeah, you can still sit here, you can live with it, but if you take it as a review, then this one here is probably the fail of the vehicle. So you cannot flip the seats from here, you have to release them from the trunk. But we have at least ISOFIX points right there for child seats and the outer seats. Then this middle armrest, some storage space and cup holders, a little bit adaptive. And well, at least I have found something in the rear which I like, and those are the turbine vents here in the rear. There's also an optional 4-zone AC, but there are no USB slots, just a 12-volt power supply. There it is, hidden, at least one. One USB slot right there, and the 12-volt power supply. And well, when the children are smoking here in the rear, then probably that's what it's for, or what else. And a nice thing to enjoy, again, the ambient light. I think this is one of the strengths of this vehicle. And one jump to the basement garage, because here I want to show you the soft close. Here, look at the straight line. And when I just slightly close the door like this, automatically pulls tight. Graphite gray, by the way, is the exterior color here. And then also for the rear, soft close is available. The car starts about 67,000 euros or dollars, and the AMG is about 80 at least. And with all the extras, for example, also the soft close, you can easily crack a 100,000 mark. Ta-da! Here we go with the R6, so a 6-cylinder, 3-liter of displacement, petrol, turbo, either with 367 horsepower in the CLS 450, or here with 435 horsepower in the CLS 53, and both have 22 horsepower extra from the electric engine. So it's an inbuilt hybrid, a new 48-volt mild hybrid, so to say, and for more power and more efficiency both. We have seen other manufacturers do that now. We will also compare the consumption to the Audi A7 we have tested recently. And there will also be 2 diesel engines, 3-liter as well, 286 horsepower or 340 horsepower. So now we found a spot which is not so wet, just a little bit, for our dynamic driving mod. That's great. And we go to the sport mode. And let's see, I mean, you do lose some comfort due to the suspension with the AMG setup, but you gain this here, this absolute control of the car, natural driving feeling, shifting down with this 9-speed MCT, some multi-clutch technology. Wow. And of course, the seat bolsters are turning up. A little bit losing the grip here with the wet road. You feel it just a little bit, but naturally to control. And suddenly this rather long and somehow bulky car feels super agile and fast to control, and is of course super fun. You do feel the weight still. That's a difference to a smaller car, so it pushes you a little bit then inside the corners, or well, to the outside of the corner then, so to say. You have this rear wheel bias from the all-wheel drive. You're not only with the rear wheel drive then, so also torque is distributed to the front wheels, but it still remains this rear wheel bias. And Wow, I'm riding actually quite fast here and great corners, so smooth this whole transition here. We also have a good tarmac surface here. Look also how precise the steering wheel is according to where I'm steering on the road. That's really a lot of fun. And those active seats help me when the side bolsters are pumped up where I'm actually going to. That's really cool stuff. We also, by the way, let's use this straight to show you something here, because we also have this telemetry system. That is pretty interesting. So you can also see the speed right there. And also those telemetry for the acceleration, so you can do some fancy race stuff if anyone will ever go to the racetrack with this vehicle. That's really funny. Wow, now we're going up there to the fork. Pretty neat surrounding here also. I really like this landscape. Great control from the steering wheel again. The sound is somehow subtle, so it's not too much, but as we shown you earlier, when you are in the basement garage and then go on the throttle in the Sport Plus mode, then you still hear enough of that for sure. There is also this Sport Plus mode available, but when the road is a little bit slick as it is here now, it's definitely good to still have some electronic stability support from the EC. So you have to be careful with that. The sports mode is already giving you a little bit more freedom, but it's not that harsh then. So that's still quite good. Wow, that looks pretty fancy here. And I can tell you guys, I'm having a lot of fun. Indeed, you can, from the driving dynamics wise, you can compare it to an E43. So this is really the funny thing, when you're driving the car slowly, then the CLS felt a little bit different. But as soon as you attack the car a little bit more, it somewhat gives you this, this resemblance. And it was like yesterday as I was driving the E-Class 43, and yeah, also performance-wise, they both come close. So probably they are a little bit equal as fun. But as I said earlier, in the interior part, I think the seats in the E-Class are somehow a little bit better. I think they are a little bit different here. I'm not quite sure about that. So next roundabout. Going off here. Just a little notch with the slide. Not sure if you could see that on camera. But that's just the right amount to keep you safe on the one hand, but still to give you a little bit more fun on the other hand. Also, the shifting pedals can be used at any time when you, for example, plan some overtaking maneuvers. Like here, just shifting it down, third gear. Then you also have this, blop, blop, blop from the exhaust, second gear, blam. And I also did that on the exterior shots when I was passing Michelle with the camera. They did upshift here with the shifting pedals that you guys could hear this blop. So I hope you enjoyed that too. Definitely, this car has really two sides, and as long as you drive it rather slowly, we'll also now soon come to the everyday driving situations and motorway and stuff, also with bad weather. Then it really has this, more being driven feeling. But especially in the AMG version, you can swap it around a little bit. When you are in this attack mode, go to the sport mode, and you're attacking the corners, suddenly this car is undisguised and feeling totally different. Very interesting finding here for that one. And I think that was the adrenaline rush for today. But of course, there's so much more about this car to discover also while driving. So let's give it another acceleration and also on the motorway for the test. And also what about the rest of the assistance systems and also safety features and so on. And from our sporty side, on acceleration, 60 to 120. Well, all-wheel drive test because there is wet road. Let's see, 60 to 120, and I'll go to the Sport mode, not Sport Plus, and let's go. Plop. That's it. Wow, that was pretty powerful and also a nice sound, or what do you think? And although we were in a sport mode, which is always drawing back the stability control, we have wet surface road. The car was very steady, very calm and harmonic in the acceleration because this all-wheel drive is really distributing the power. This is basically a rear-wheel driven platform. Then also power is directed to the front wheels then, of course, with this all-wheel drive. A little bit more than if you give it a little bit harder acceleration, and also the 48 volt hybrid system is supporting the whole system. Wow, and 4.5 seconds is from 0 to 100. Pretty impressive. But the 450, by the way, just 0.3 seconds difference, so not too much of a difference. But sound-wise, I think you still got that this is here the AMG version. Let's go to the sport mode and see. There's an autobahn corner here, this motorway corner. And I have a lot of stability from suspension. Oh, and also the side bolts is giving me a little support here when I'm driving right. We already know that from the previous generation CLS or from the previous generation E-Class, but still it is a nice optional feature to get the support always in the seat, you know, the opposite side you're driving, to hold you even tighter. Indeed, as I said earlier, the seats are very tight, very stiff. So when driving, also to me a little bit too stiff. Should be a little bit softer for the long-term comfort. Other than that, the main thing that comes to your mind immediately, especially when you're on the motorway, is the sovereignty of the ride. So it's basically something which have a lot of cars in this class when they are premium also in the segment, that comes due to the long wheelbase and just the very cost-intensive components they are using. Suspension-wise, well, for the usual CLS, I promise you that I'll basically tell you everything you need to know about the CLS in general also. So the basic CLS also is offering a normal adaptive suspension. Then you can go optional for the air suspension. This one here does have the air suspension as standard, as it's the CLS 53 AMG. However, the air suspension is then again tuned to a sportier level. So when I'm doing, for example, lane change here and now, I get more support. You see, there's hardly any rolling from the car. Back again, very precise also from the steering wheel. Mercedes usually tunes the steerings, and also AMG, in a way that they are not too Arcadia-like. They pay attention to a natural steering feel. To some extent, other steering ratios are more progressive. That means you need to steer less then. So in Mercedes, you have to usually steer a little bit more. The question is really, what do you prefer? Do you want to steer a little bit more, which feels a little bit more natural and non-supported? At the other hand, very progressively supported steering can be a lot of fun to drive as well. Even though it's raining here, we have very little noise inside the cabin. You know, we can step it up the game then with the acoustic package, and then it's even more silent. So that's really a good job, and but also comparable, for example, to the Audi A7. But I think Mercedes is ahead. They are a little bit even more if you compare it to the competitors. We think that, especially, you know, the E-Class and also the siblings here, as this one is, probably the most silent vehicle on the market today. And so this is basically fantastic. The A-pillar for such a big car is also not too thick, so you can still see very well. To the rear, visibility is also quite fine still. To the sides, of course, the window line is slim, and then you cannot see that well there too. When the road is quite even now, as it is, then you're also very fine with the AMG setup of the air suspension. But then again, of course, when you face some bumps, it can get a little bit rough. So if you are seeking the CLS as a long-term driving vehicle for longer trips and motorway and stuff, I can recommend you not to go for the AMG, but just take, for example, the 450 petrol hybrid. Is basically the same engine. Here just a little power tweak, and that's basically it. Yes, of course, AMG would always say, we changed everything, but no, they didn't. So those engines are indeed comparable. And what's also very interesting before we come to a little bit more acceleration, what about the consumption and this hybrid engine? You know, so far I'm not a fan of mild hybrid systems, because in our real life tests, they usually didn't have any real effect. So there was no real fuel saving. And the minimum fuel you can save is actually often defined by when you just have a cruise control here on the motorway, then you can see what the car can actually achieve. And well, I can easily go there while driving. You know, I'm using those sump buttons here I've shown you earlier, and indeed it proves that while driving they are actually quite good instruments to control everything then in front of you. And here we have a minimum consumption of about 9.2 liters, so about around 9 liters. And so far I think that's actually quite good. So we also have a blind spot monitor. You will soon see when the car is overtaking us. There it is, this red triangle. I think the most important safety feature next to the autonomous emergency brake, so always go for that one. Yeah, so consumption-wise, pretty good. This 6-cylinder, 3-liter engine, I really like that. You might remember in the A7 recently we had 11 liters as consumption with a little bit more, you know, pushing it. We will, of course, take a look at that, how it evolves still during the review and during the day and maybe also the next day. But so far, when you keep it steady, you can drive this car fuel saving. And it really seems to be that their mild hybrid system is maybe a better one than Audi is offering. Pretty interesting, for sure. So I'm still amazed how silent it is in here, although it's really raining outside. You know, a couple of days now where we had bad luck with the weather, but you know, that's normal car life. That's just it. By the way, now I see this green steering wheel symbol in the middle. This one here also has this basically autonomous drive. Don't do that what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing you that it's worked, that it's keeping me in the lane. But it's not meant to do that. So it should keep you in the lane, yes, but it's just assistant that you should keep your hands at the steering wheel. But theoretically, this car can majorly drive autonomous, especially on the motorway. But the regulations aren't there yet. And of course, you know, I would always pay attention that you don't exaggerate it. So far, keep your hands at the steering wheel. But, you know, the system can help you maybe to relax a little bit more. And of course, in very slow traffic with the traffic jam assist, that is really helpful. And when you're really just rolling steadily, then it would also be, you know, a possibility to take your hands off the steering wheel. We also have this, we have the lane changing assist here too, but I always have to check that the car is actually in the, you know, in the proper mode to do that. So let's put in the cruise control. Distronic Plus. It's not working with the separate column here anymore. So I sit on the steering wheel and it's actually quite comfortable and very well to control. So I'm definitely fine by that. So at the moment, not so good to do a lane change here. Let's see now. This is an interesting situation. So I didn't brake. That was the car. But that was a smooth transition. So those assistance systems they've put in here work pretty well. Also the Distronic Plus is measuring the stuff in the map system. Also maybe decelerating, accelerating depending when you're coming in the roundabout or something like that. So pretty on top of the game for sure. Wow, we even with 9 liters now. Yeah, you might wonder, okay, you're not hammering the throttle here, but you have to think about most of the vehicles in this segment, even if we drive them very slowly, they totally exceed the fuel figures. And this one obviously does not. So this is actually then a rather rare moment. Pretty interesting for that. How does it compare in the comfort if you know, for example, normal E-Class? It has somehow a little sportier touch. Of course, it's also based with this AMG model, but I've also been driving the E43, and I'm not sure if it's the seat form or maybe the surface, but somehow the E43 felt a little bit more comfortable to me from the seating position wise. Although both, of course, they're not too different in the cars, even though if marketing suggests something else. But you know, I can just tell you what I'm feeling, you know, on a subjective level for sure. But definitely a relaxing ride, and even if you have the AMG, you can still drive very calmly. You hear hardly anything from the engine, even though I was in sport mode, just when you turn it really up. There are different driving modes available, comfort here now. Then the steering is also a little bit, let's say, softer, not so much force being applied. Individual is also possible, or eco. For eco, this sailing function is, wow, there's a small sailing boat even in the display. Isn't that cute? Not sure if you can see it on the small camera. Maybe the steering wheel is blocking it, maybe not, I'm not sure. But always when I lift my foot off the throttle, then I get this sailing boat, and that means the car is basically just rolling, not consuming any fuel. Wow, look at that. Nice. And yeah, when I turn up the temperature now, yeah, that's so cool. And then when I turn it down, hey, Michelle mixed it in the house, yo. The temperature DJ. That is so fancy. Nice. Would Brian say now. Really cool stuff. So I like those emotional features we have there. That is really well done. And great that we had the tunnel. Plus, in the tunnel we also heard it was still so silent here, although we were in this tunnel. Really well done. So, let's see. Oh, the car's not doing a lane change here now. Maybe it's too narrow or our speed is not high enough. But theoretically it's possible. All of the big cars now from Mercedes can do the same stuff basically. At least the sedans, the SUVs, when they receive the next update. For example, with the all-new GLE is actually due this year, so we expect that to come soon, for example. Hey, isn't it cool to drive in this tunnel here again? And I can say the same thing with the E-Class. This car, even though you get the AMG version, I mean, it's not really a car you would race all the time. So you rather drive it in a, in a rather relaxed manner. So, and this is perfectly fine. And indeed, I'm still amazed by the sound installation. And we're even at 8 liters on 100 kilometers now. So that's really good. But maybe the base engine also is, efficient for that, not only with the mild hybrid system. I can show you that again, by the way, when I'm now on the, there it is. RPM drop to 0, I'm just sailing, rolling. There's no resistance from the brake. I'm even catching the cars, although I'm not applying any throttle. Hardly losing speed. Now I'm setting the cruise control again. That is really well done, and obviously a mild hybrid system that is really working. And you remember that sometimes with small turbo 4 cylinders, or maybe even 3 cylinders, we have like 10 liters of consumption, whatever, or with some diesel engines. So 8 liters right now is really a fine figure. And wow, come on guys. We should drive this car in a tunnel all day, really. About those driving modes, if you then set it on sport, by the way, the gears are turned up higher. Someone is filming right there. Gears are turned up higher, so you can drive a little bit sportier. The steering then gets a little bit firmer, so you actually have the choice. Also, the stability control is drawn back just a little bit, so Sport Plus is nothing for rainy situations. But here in the tunnel now, we can hear the sound a little bit more. Oh, and then Sport Plus mode, and then let go of the throttle. We got this blop 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 from the exhaust. Not sure if you can hear that on camera. It's not the loudest sound here, of course. That's not what this car is aiming for. Maybe here, maybe a Subaru Impreza. That's maybe more the rather show-off vehicle. This one here, then the CLS, wants to be a little more subtle and stressing the elegance in the sportiness. So that's then the main focus. So pretty convincing what this car is showing us, especially here when you just want to relax. So maybe if you're even stuck in traffic, that's really a suitable car for that. And then if you ask me, how does it compare to the A7? Well, we haven't driven the A7 in an S mode or whatever. It was just a normal petrol engine. This car more gives you the feeling of driving relaxed and calm. That's usually what Mercedes does. Even though the Airmatic is trimmed on this AMG level, I don't think it's such a wise decision, because when you have the air suspension here and make it that stiff that you don't feel it anymore, that's an air suspension, to me it contradicts the idea somehow. And again, if you want the AMG version, of course you want that sportier touch. But somehow the A7 was more a driver's car, more that you would say even in the base version it felt a little bit sportier than this one here in the AMG. The A7 more told me, please drive me. This car is rather telling me, just relax and be driven. So you could say that. Also seating comfort wise, the A7 was better to me. They have some new ergonomic concepts there. They especially developed for the new A8, where the other cars are also profiting from. However, design language-wise and those emotional effects, this one here seems a little bit better. And from the control point of view, with the A7, the touchscreen, if Michelle now would control something in the screen here, then just touch it and that's easier. But when me as a driver would reach it here, I would be very distracted. Here with the Mercedes concept of controlling, I can do that with some buttons here. I don't have to pinch and zoom, I just have to scroll up and down with my right thumb. Yeah, or I could also, thank you Michelle, I could also use the typical command center here in the lower middle console. But of course it's better when you can keep your hands at the steering wheel and just swipe like this. And also for the central part here, this part here, the left one, could also be just controlled by up and down button like with the ACC. Does not have to be this some touch. Why not? So for a driver, it's actually then a quite good concept also to control while driving. This would be, speaking for the Mercedes stuff. And the air suspension in the base model is also set on the rather softer level than the suspension that Audi is offering, for example. Here again in the AMG, you got this stiffer level, and it's also adapted that they have some changes between comfort, for example, and the sport mode. So when I'm here in the sport mode now, we feel that we have a little bit more contact to the road even than in the comfort mode. But most of the time, you will probably just leave this car in comfort mode then. So those were the remarks here so far. Bad weather, but I think the car made us still a relaxing, calm ride. And again, surprising, the consumption is relatively low for such a big car, and a lot of emotional luxury features to use while driving. And now to our conclusion for today, the all-new Mercedes CLS. Exterior, it is a little bit sharper, at least in front and rear, but the side is actually quite round and actually timeless. You can still see it is a CLS, I think. It is based on this E-Class platform, and you can see that also, especially on the interior. The interior still very sensual, has this wow effect. Very nice, for example, with the ambient light, with the temperature that is, that you can see that in red and blue, depending on the temperature you are choosing. That's a really nice emotional effect. And also enough of sustainable seating surfaces available like that too. Then driving-wise, really comfortable and sovereign as we know it from the CLS. I think the difference to the previous generation is not super huge. Existing customers will still realize it's their CLS, but as we have told you, some tweaks here and there, especially technology-wise. The lights, for example, which are updated, and also a lot of the infotainment system for sure with this dual screen setup in the optional way, and you can very well also control that while driving. In driving, still a very sovereign car. This AMG version here, then a little bit stiffer, of course. I would, go for the softer variant, for example, the 450 petrol engine, because I think it makes much more sense together with this car. And if you then compare it with the all-new A7, I think the A7 somewhere has a sportier touch. Really makes you want to drive the car. This one here is more relaxed and you are being driven by the vehicle. That's, the two different focuses of those vehicles. Everything else is a lot of what you really prefer yourself or not, design-wise, for example, on the exterior. Those are my 2 cents. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Autogefühl, and also see you next time.